What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. People, in today's video, we want to discuss the difference between good governance and clean audits. Does a clean audit mean good governance? Does good governance mean clean audits? Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know, we family, right? Hello. People, a lot of people confuse clean audits with good governance and vice versa. And what is the difference? Well, let's start with the basics, right? When a party runs a province, so let's just say Joburg versus Cape Town, the most two obvious compared provinces in the entire country, right? So, Gauteng, being run by the ANC, has always have bad audits and is always having bad governance. What does this mean? It means the running of the province, service delivery, just the maintenance of basic infrastructure, eradication of poverty, economic growth, forecasts, and a whole host of economical terms that come into play. Are those being maintained, improved, or have those been surpassed? That is a sign or indication of good governance. Clean audits, the books, the accounting, the finances, the budgets. Is everything accounted for? Is everything spent? Is every cent spent where it was supposed to be spent and how it was supposed to be spent? That is a classical case of governance versus audit. Now, like I just said now, in Gauteng, the ANC is notorious for having bad governance and bad audits, right? Let's move over to Cape Town. DA is known for to have good governance and clean audits. So what is good governance in Cape Town? Well-maintained roads, clean cities, well-maintained infrastructure, improving economic outlooks, economic output. What else? What else? What else? What else? Low unemployment. And Cape Town is generally seen as a better run city or a better run metro than Joburg or Gauteng, right? That would be a sign of good governance. The DA always comes out on top with clean audits. What does that simply mean? Well, their books, their accounting, always on point, always delivering on whatever they're supposed to deliver, right? And they get to send money back to Treasury. I don't know if that's a good sign at all because let's be honest, there's a lot of things that still need to be maintained in Cape Town, but yet they are sending money back to Treasury, which is unnecessary, I think. Because if you say you have a clean audit and you're given a budget of, let's just say, 400 billion to run the city, and you sending back, I don't know, 120, 160 billion back, but yet there are places in Cape Town that desperately need cash injection, financial support to improve infrastructure, to improve people's housing, and a whole host of other things. And if that, for me, is not being followed up on, then you can't say that's good governance. Yeah, you get your top tier areas that will always be maintained. In fact, those will just maintain themselves. You know what I mean? Because the residents, they have the money and the budget to maintain those things themselves. So I don't know if that would fall under good governance because what basically are you providing? Because the security in those areas is normally private security. That's not provided by government. So when you say These areas are well run by government, and yet government doesn't even produce or even procure the security for those areas, and those things are done privately. How can government be lauded for the efforts of what private residents are doing? See, systematically, our levels of judgment or our levels of what's the word I'm looking for? Our levels of our indicators of what good governance is very, very low. Totally, totally low. And for us to be passing such low standards and claiming that to be victories is a very sad indictment on the political parties that actually run these provinces. Because you cannot be telling me that a place or a city that still has shacks, a city that still has homelessness, like increasing homelessness, a city that has increasing poverty levels, a city that has crumbling infrastructure, a city that has, I don't know, crime on the increase, a city that has uh, water problems, sanitation problems, a city that has transport issues, transport problems. You cannot be telling me that such things are good indicators of well run cities, good governance. That cannot be. That cannot be. That certainly cannot be. Guys, clean audits. You're saying to me Cape Town has clean audits, the DA always comes out on top of clean audits, and yet you're sending money back. Okay? For one, I would give it to the DA for giving money back rather than money is unaccounted for disappearing out of the system. So, in that regard, I would say, okay, I would rather they giving money back to the treasury than money is totally disappearing. There are many provinces, well, I wouldn't say many, but municipalities that have come under administration for maladministration and have now been under so much pressure because the municipalities have failed the residents in almost every aspect. Guys, that's a classical case of bad governance. We don't even have to go ahead and look at the audits because the audits are already shambles. We know that, you know that, the whole world knows that. So it's sad that we are looking at this and thinking, oh my God, how does this even happen? How do we keep voting these people back into power? So, good audit, clean governance, or is it good governance, clean audits? These things have to work hand in hand. You cannot have good governance and bad audits. It just doesn't make logical sense at all. It just can't be. You cannot have one without the other. I mean, yes, I know. Possibly, okay, I'm not in anyone's shoes who works with millions, if not with billions. I'm sure it must be tempting because already as it is, people who work with food, it's already tempting just working with food. You are, I don't know, you are tempted to want to eat when you're hungry. You're tempted to want to steal for the household, especially if you have children. And that's just with food, right? Now imagine if you're working with billions. That's another, that's a whole nother level, right? So you're working with billions. Surely you're going to be tempted to want to steal if you do not have self-control, right? But here's my thing. Here's my thing. We have politicians who have been in power since '94, who have been seeing millions, if not hundreds of thousands a month in their bank balance, in their bank accounts. They live millionaire lifestyles, even if they do not have millions in the bank. But the lifestyles they live are worth millions. Surely, since '94, surely to this very day, you should be used to having monies around you. You should be so used of having money. Why still? That's my thing. Why still? I mean, it's sad that poor people, real poor people who work with money, like your cash in transit guards and your I don't know your cashiers and your people that do cash ups in your in your stores and stuff like that. They are the ones supposed to be stealing, but they don't. They're so loyal. They scared to steal. They're scared to get fired. They're scared to have a bad reputation on their CVs, and they would rather starve. They would rather borrow from other colleagues and stuff. But then you get government officials who think nothing of just, well, 500,000 going, 200,000, 900,000, 1 million going. How, bro? How? You know what I mean? So it begs the question, what constitutes good governance? What constitutes good audits now? Is good audits meaning you spend every cent, but most of it or three quarters of it doesn't even go to where it's meant to be going to? I mean, how do you allocate a budget to a city that still has knee high or even shoulder high grass on the sides of the highways, the roads? Where's the budget for that? I mean, surely there has there was a budget for that. How do you how do you claim good governance when you go to municipality or city council warehouses and yards and you find brand new tractors and machinery sitting on bricks? The only problem is that it's got a puncture. One wheel is punctured, but it's sitting on bricks for months on end, for weeks on end, years even. The stuff is even rotting. So, what is good governance? What is good governance? I mean, it's said that people are building shacks on railway lines. On railway lines. People are building shacks right next to pavement, on the pavement where people walk. And you're saying this is good governance. How? How? Crime is on the increase. There's no police vehicles. There's a shortage of manpower. How is that good governance? So the next time we talk about the best run city, the best run province, or good governance, take into consideration all the failures, the imperfections, the neglect, the decay, the degradation, and then ask yourself, you telling me that the allocation of the budget for that city, you couldn't spare even a 200,000, 800,000, get a low contractor to fix. He doesn't have to make it brand new, but they can just upgrade it to a livable, to a more visual or visually pleasing, a visually appeasing, a visually pleasing standard. People, we all know that there are companies that are desperate for small tenders, not even multi-million rand tenders. No, 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 no. There are companies that just need your small 60,000 rand, 100,000 rand tenders, 200,000, 500,000 rand tenders, the smaller tenders. Award those small companies these small little projects that they can improve on, that makes the city look world class. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. The amount of money being returned to treasury, the amount of money is being stolen, it's just ridiculous. There's no such a thing as good governance if you are returning monies that could be spent, but you're returning instead. And there's no good governance when you are actually stealing money that could be used. That's my take on this. I mean, I don't know. So just because a party is good at doing accounting, good on the books, and having clean audits year in, year out, does not mean that party is good at governing. Because if you're going to say Cape Town is the best run province, for me, I would be looking at ways of saying the number of shacks are reducing, the number of homeless people is reducing, the rate of crime is reducing, the rate of anything that's bad is reducing. We give credit where credit is due on both sides. That must always be our motto, and that must always be a driving force to give the good people in these corridors of power the impetus to continue doing the good work that they are doing. And then where we need to be critical, we need to criticize so that the bad apples within the corridors of power need to realize that they are being watched and that their days in those offices or corridors of power are numbered. That's what I think. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Was I on the money or did I totally miss it with this one? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Hello.